Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and it's all me today. We're going to talk a little bit about the life cycle of a publishing package and when author platform building should come into the picture and just all sorts of stuff like that today. So before we get started, I want to send you over to platformplanning.com. We are doing our platform planning palooza, which is usually a $1,500 course. We're doing it for free this year on November 1st, and it'll be 8 to 9, or I'm sorry, 9 to 10:30 Mountain Time. So mark it on your calendar, go over to platformplanning.com and grab your materials, sign up, save your spot. There will be materials that we will be working with. There's a workbook, there are several worksheets that you'll be able to work a little bit with us and some on their own. And I'll probably make an offer at the time as well if you want help with yours on a one-on-one basis. So, but we're not selling anything that that'll feel pressure. It's just a little bit of help on it. So, platformplanning.com. Go grab your spot, get yourself registered. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the life cycle of a book today because I was reading an article this weekend and it literally had author platform building as the very last thing to do. And I disagree with that so vehemently because if you do that, you don't have an audience to sell the book to. And you guys have heard me over and over talk about that it's just not about the book. Most of the time in a publishing package, you are not going to get ROI directly from book sales. So if you put out $10,000, $20,000 to publish your book, whether it's standard, hybrid, whatever you're doing, this is going to be a big problem that you put out all this money and you have no way to recoup it. So it is really important to have that next step there that you can sell people to as well. So it is all part of a process, and that's what I want to talk about today. So one of the things that you begin with, of course, is that idea. Okay, I have an idea for a book, and I'm really applying this to nonfiction authors today because fiction is much, much more difficult to promote. So you get that idea. You think, okay, I'm an expert at XYZ, and I'm going to write a book on it. And I'd like to write that book not only to put my ideas out in the world, but also to attract people for bigger products and services. So in a sense, it's a little bit of a loss leader, but we definitely want to recoup that money. It's not a loss leader like, oh, I spent $2,500 creating a lead magnet. It's not that kind. This is ongoing business. So that ideation part is not only where you get the idea for the book, but now you start thinking about, I need to research the market. Is my business not doing as well as I want because I haven't really narrowed down my audience? Well, this is the time when you're spending time on your book to do that research. So what does that research include? When we have our Build Your Author Avatar course, we have 4 pillars that we work with. The first is, demographic, psychographics. Those are basic things that most people, when they're researching a business or a book, they are doing, but it stops there. Now, remember, if you've been following the show for a while, before I got into publishing, I was in advertising, I went from college right into publishing, then I went to advertising, then I went to real estate, then I started my own business. So, and there were little pieces I picked up from each along the way that really made this a successful business. But that research, getting back to it, you don't stop with the demographics and the psychographics. You need to get in and look at, who are my competitors? What are they selling? Where are they on social media? What are the topics they're talking about? You never want to copy what they're doing, but you definitely want to get insight about what is selling, what works best for me. Is it a group program? Is it one-on-one? Is it a combination? A lot of authors want to do downloadable programs as part of their business. Downloadable programs, believe it or not, usually require a person to sell them. And what I mean by that is when you put them up on your site, most of the time people don't just jump in, click, and buy them. When I sell those courses on my site, normally I'm having a conversation. And the conversation comes down to 2 things. Can you afford the do it with you, where we actually build your assets and work with you? Or do you need to do the DIY? Okay, here's the DIY. It's significantly less money. So those are the kinds of things you're looking at, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. The third is press and websites. So go over to your competitors' websites, go over to the websites that you know your audience frequents. And a lot of times you can get that insight from following your ideal clients or readers on social media. So start looking at what are they selling? What does their site look like? What is their branding? What is their point of view? How can I spin the same information with a different point of view? And the reason I say that is there are tons of psychologists, life coaches out there who are writing books. The psychologists tend to niche, the life coaches don't. And we actually did a study back in I think it was 2018, and people did not have very good impressions of life coaches, which means that it's more important for you to niche down. And we've worked with some tremendous life coaches on this. Gretchen Heido, who actually teaches coaches how to monetize, her book, Break Free from Your Dirty Little Secrets, that is a niche down piece for life coaches. So the fourth part of that, websites and press, is also looking at the press. What does your audience consume press-wise? Because we all know we live in a very, very divided universe right now. It's crazy. So sometimes the language and how you speak to males, females, male and female copy is always different because different things interest women than interest men. So look at that audience. You know, what are they consuming? Are they a little bit more liberal, a little bit more conservative? I'm not saying talk politics. Please don't do that, but kind of be aware of where these people get their news sources, where they get their learning sources, because that will help you as well create copy when you're doing this. So that's the very first part of this. Now, this part is really important because not only will it help you write your book with that point of view, but it's also where you start with social media. So this ideation and the research, that's where your author platform starts before you even write a single word. That's where that starts. So you're really doing the research in the audience, and then through your author platform building, you're validating. Because remember, marketing is for the most part a guess. So now you've done your research, you're putting your marketing into a guess, you're putting social media out there, you're putting your idea out there in the form of social media posts, videos, blogs, whatever it is that you're creating content with, and you're looking at the feedback. Are people telling you it's great? Are they following you? Are they getting into your list? Do you have a lead magnet? These are all things that need to be done up front to collect that audience. And then you start writing your manuscript. So I know for a lot of you, you're like, yes, I'm halfway through my book and now I'm starting the audience. And a lot of times we get the audience building at the very end, and we can't really help people with their book sales because they don't realize how hard that $20 book is to sell, or $30 now with the economy the way it is. So that's where you really want to get into author platform building early. So you've started writing your manuscript. You're setting aside some time every day for platform building. This is where people get a little bit overwhelmed because remember, for a lot of you guys, you're the rainmaker in your business too. So you have to make money, you're building assets, you're writing a book. So figure out how you can time block every day. If it's an hour a day you're going to spend on the book, that's fantastic. Maybe that's your first thing in the morning. Social media, maybe that's around lunchtime where you're developing those assets. You're making sure you have a lead magnet. You're looking at the list. You're deciding what emails you're going to send out for your content next week. And hopefully you developed a content calendar at this point as well, so that you're always a couple months ahead, because you never know what's going to come up. I know for me, I used to do that a lot. I would have it 1 month ahead. Then I had a death in my family in 2016, and I realized, oh my gosh, I need to be further ahead than this. So I got on it and started creating content. Now my content calendar is 2 months ahead. Always do that because you never know what life is going to throw at you. So really important to do that. Now, when you're writing, remember I said time block, get that time every morning. So are you creating your outline? Have you worked with a book developer on developing that outline before you start writing? What are your key words? That's another really key point too, because you want to infuse your book with the keywords. Word stuffing with Google does not work anymore, keyword stuffing. So get them infused in your book, because you'll notice when you go to do Amazon advertising, if you do that, that you're going to have to put keywords in. And a lot of times they scan that book. In fact, all the time. Amazon scans that book, so they're pulling out keywords as well to put it in front of people with the algorithm. So you need to make sure whatever your keywords are, that they are in that book, the description, that comes off there as well. So that's when you take that time every day and you start structuring your chapters, you start writing. And the reason I said an hour a day is you really need to set some realistic goals with this. I used to sit down when I wrote fiction novels and it was 2,000 words plus a day. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot. And there were days when I was in the mood, I came right up to 2,000. There were other days when I had more time, I was inspired, I would do 4,000 or 5,000. So just know that have a minimum word count and time blocked to do it every day. And here's the other tip. Write even when you're not inspired. Because remember, you have to get that whole book out before the process begins. And what I'm saying that is you'd be surprised at how many people I talk to that tell me, oh, I'm writing a book. And I'll say, oh, how far along are you? I'm on chapter 1. Oh, so you just started 5 years ago. I keep rewriting chapter 1. So that's where you have to my friend Chris Johnson calls it the vomit draft. Get that draft out. If you're having an uninspired day, you're going to do rewrites so you can go back and rewrite the information. I know there were times that I thought I had an absolutely brilliant writing day, and I would go back and rewrite, and I'd be like, oh my God, like where brain fart day. Because I would spell like synonyms, I would spell, the wrong version, like pair and pair, Pair, Pare. And I know the difference, but I really got into type, get it out. So remember when you're doing this, to get that entire book out. Don't go back and keep trying to edit it in real time. That's what rewrites are for. The next step in this is editing and revising. So this is where you start your rewrites. One thing I hear from editors over and over is they'll get a manuscript and they'll say, I don't think these people rewrote. I don't think this author rewrote. I think they just gave me the raw manuscript. That's not what you want to do. You want to rewrite it a couple times. And believe me when I tell you, by the time you do all this and you get up to promoting the book, you're going to hate that book because you're so sick of the material. I used to do that when I wrote fiction novels. I would literally be writing one book, a new book. I would have another book that was over at the publisher being published, and here I was promoting a third book, and I'd be sort of confused. But most of all, I was like, oh, I'm so bored with this book. I've talked about it so much. So keep that in mind too. Now, one of the things when you start writing, when you start your rewrites, that is really when I would start looking at publishing. If you're a traditional publisher, and let me just go back for a minute, I might have skipped a step. If you're looking for traditional publishing, your author platform better be built already, and that proposal is being written before you write the book. If you are going hybrid or self-publishing, then this is the point where you want to really get serious about, where am I going to publish this at? And those publishers will probably ask you about your platform too. So you better have been doing this all along and getting it up. So that's where you decide. It's probably a little late for traditional at this point because that requires a proposal. That also requires a tremendous audience. Because remember, these publishers, they're in the business to make money, which means you have to have an audience. They don't do the promotion anymore. Hybrid. Exploring, do I want to go hybrid? Do I want to be in bookstores? Do I want massive distribution? Self-publishing, am I just going to self-publish it myself? I'm on a budget. I'm just going to go Amazon. So that's where you need to make those decisions and actually talk to an expert about the pros and cons of each. I know you can read a lot on it, but there are pros and cons as far as your author platform as well as to what you should do. Then once you decide, and that's that you're doing the publishing, you've decided what to publish, that's when you should start looking at marketing and promotion as well. Am I going to run a bestseller campaign? Do I need a press release? How many followers do I have? Do I need to get myself booked on podcasts? Do I need to get myself booked? What do I need to do to get all this out there? You don't wait until the book is released. You do this at least 3, 4, 5 months in advance. That way it's already booked. We have someone that we put into a podcast tour, podcast and radio tour back in May of this year. Their book is coming out in January. So we've already got bookings for when the book comes out. The book will actually be in pre-sale in November. So you can see now they're really starting to get these bookings in place. And don't feel like you need to do all the promotion in pre-promotion, because that's what people do. They blow their whole budget in pre-production. And what happens usually is you sell books as soon as it releases, maybe in pre-sale as well, and then everything levels off. So you have to be able to figure out how you're going to do that when it levels off. Now, one of the things I did skip here, and I did it purposely because I want to talk a little bit more about it separately, is back when you get that audience formed and you get these ideas in, this is a good time to start writing down, what is the course I'm going to sell? Because remember, you're not going to get ROI from that publishing package. More than likely, you will not get it from that publishing package. You can't sell enough books to cover the cost of that package. So what big ticket items are you going to sell on the other end? So what that might look like is you're selling books in pre-sale, you're selling books that just released. Maybe you get a month out and you start running a campaign that is buy the book, get this course at a one-time only price. That's where you start introducing your bigger ticket items to cover the ROI that you're not going to get from that publishing package. So it is very important to have that. We were on a call the other day and I mentioned this, and one of my authors actually told the other authors on the call, that was the key, you guys. Once I got the courses out there and started selling them and talking to people, I completely covered everything I spent. And she probably spent about $20,000 in the publishing promotion process. So it was good to hear that that's how she recouped that. And then the more people you have in your course, that snowballs into the next time you have the course, next time you sell the course. The other part of that comes in is that when you give the course and you record the course, now you have different ways to deliver the course. So maybe I want to promote it and I've recorded it. I've recorded the first round that I gave the course to a live audience. So maybe now I make it into an evergreen at a much discounted price. That's easy money. You don't have to really show up for it, except to maybe sell it on a call, like we do. If someone comes to a call and they say, I need help with, author platform building, I can't afford what it costs right now for me to have you build copy, landing pages, email drip, all that, then they can go to that low cost course and at least get the gist of it. It doesn't mean they're going to be able to do it all on their own. Many of those people come back and have us do the assets because they try on their own and they don't have their messaging down. There's a lot going on there. But that's where you really start to get your traction on your book, is how can I incorporate it? One of our clients, Dorothy Beasley, has ranch retreats up in Canada. Her book is part of it. She has a vision board course. You can take the vision board course. You can get a free download, which is create your own vision board. Or you can go the next level to an online group course where she goes through that. She goes through the book. She talks about ranch life, which, believe it or not, is a really popular topic right now because so many people are moving out of the cities. And the next phase of that is one-on-one coaching. So let's get you to that dream. You did the vision board. Now let's get you at a ranch retreat actually living that board. So there's a progression there that you can do and sell the same course at many, many levels, but you have to get out and execute first. So I hope that helped you guys with what you need. I know it all sounds very busy, very complicated, but I'm telling you this now to really set expectations, because I find that is the biggest thing, is that authors don't have realistic goals. They start building and then they start building the book and get really excited, but then they realize, I don't have anybody to sell this to. And I can tell you, nobody's going to find you organically on those book sites, the book distribution sites, you're going to have to direct people on where to go. And the answer is not going on social media and saying, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. Then you just look silly and desperate. So hope to see you guys soon. Platformplanning.com. I hope to see everybody there on November 1st.